Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we are doing the Ranger review for episode 3, so let's dive into that.
65 million years, and you couldn't snag a single energem?
Usually the stunt team from Japan that is in the suits as some of the main villains. Vivix can be local stuntmen as well, and stunt performers, but the Japanese stunt doubles, who obviously come from Japan, they work together as a specific unit and they train together multiple times throughout the week. And they all also speak Japanese, so they work as a very tightly knit unit on second unit usually. Sometimes they'll shoot on first unit, but usually second unit's all the stunt stuff or anything that's just the monsters that doesn't have any ranger or demorphed people in the scene. This is cool. They actually set up a little tennis ball thing, but I believe it was primarily digital tennis balls that shot out, and then they just had people throwing them.
Hey.
Those doors people had to pull open from each side. It wasn't actually like a digitally opening door.
Finally come to the museum and not have to look like that.
Isn't it great? I get to be a busboy at the cafe.
See, I enjoyed the delivery of that line. That was fun. That was more real as how I am. So you could already see that I got more comfortable as episodes gone on.
Burgers?
Kodo, what do you like, sleep in that cave?
Yes. My home.
I was always jealous whenever people got to do shirtless scenes because I always wanted like a shirtless scene, and finally I got it in like Dino Supercharged when we're all controlled by like that fun-loving sun monster that makes us feel like we're on vacation. But I was fasting and like trying not to eat a lot, so I looked more cut. But then it ended up being moved to another day for shooting, and I was so hungry I just didn't care, and I ate a bunch. So I was like, all that work to prep, and then I didn't hold out. But I was tired. I would do better this time. Yoshi and I would go to Chip a lot, who's the executive producer and writer of Dino Charge, or head writer, and we'd always ask for a shirtless fight scene, and we wanted it to be in the rain, so it was like super epic, and every time he'd be like, no, sort of like, next episode, he'd be like, no, never happened, but we tried all the way up until the finale.
Why not? That sounds great.
I know! I think that was like a battery-operated fake little fire that Koda has in his cape, Yoshi, whoever, Blue Ranger man.
Is that him?
So they actually lent me my journal, in between shoots to actually fill in with my handwriting. So again, this digital isn't there when we look at it. That's a tennis ball that we're all staring at, or just an eye line that's through, and they'd tell like, James, lower your eye line, or Brennan, lift your eye line, or whatever, so we all match. There were a lot of holes in this field, and I believe a couple of us tripped multiple times. So this particular actor in Sledge's suit is my double primarily when I'm morphed. But my double also doubles Yoshi a lot too. If you look closely, when they showed my lip in that scene, there's a scar on my lip. That's actually a dog that bit me when I was filming a parody of Twilight with my friends, and it ripped my lip off, and I had to go get stitches, and my friend was like, can we continue filming the scene? I'm like, no, we can't.
I'm sorry.
You should be!
Destroy you, and then...
It's kind of funny, because you can barely hear people when they speak out of the suit, so it's a lot less serious feeling when they're all mumbly and trying to project out of this, monstrosity of a costume that's hard to breathe in. We're even trying to like listen, like, do they finish their last line? Is it our turn now? So for this, when like Keeper disappears, they have us all freeze, and then they'll remove the actor who's in Keeper's suit and then unfreeze, and then we look like Keeper just disappeared, and then we continue the scene. So you have to stay really still so it looks like nothing changed. That was a little delayed. So those were actual explosions behind us, and I believe that was the first time we felt that much heat from an explosion. Basically, they have a safety talk with us, and they tell us where the charges are placed. And then they're like, don't move, stay here, and you'll be good. And then they set off all the charges, and you just feel that intense heat hit you. And then they had us move, and then they had our doubles come in who are in the suits, rush and fight. So this is all, I believe, original footage we filmed in New Zealand. You have to pay attention to the backgrounds. So when we demorph, we have to stay really still. Basically, like the double will lay there first, and then they freeze, and then the double, they have other stunt guys come around and frame it with their body, so like they remember the dimensions of where they were laying, and then we come and lay in that position, or vice versa when we morph. So this demorph, that's a Sayuchi, or a front suicide, so you flip and you catch yourself with your foot. They actually let me do that, and I'm so happy. Yeah, it looks like it hurts, but if you catch yourself correctly with the foot as you come over, you actually absorb first and then lay yourself down. You're not actually supposed to land on your back. And you can see our makeup is different now, so they added dirt. It's just cool little effects like you may not see if you don't pay attention between scenes. So it wasn't on our face, and then after obviously we fought, makeup comes in and then adds the dirt to us to show that we got beat up essentially. because they don't like to show blood on Power Rangers in the newer seasons. So this part was cool. Basically, they're like, follow him. So I did a little roll. That was me. Yay. And I did a little prance. I don't know what that was. But, you know, in the moment, you're not sure what's happening. And you're just like, I don't know what I look like on camera. So this is fun to time, you know, so basically hide. And I have to time it off of him looking around his corner, which makes sense, around his shoulder, not corner. And a lot of these rocks are actually fake that they brought in. So the boulders are light, but they needed to put more in for me to hide behind.
They're gonna destroy our base. And everyone along with it.
I already like my acting much better in this episode from the first 2 episodes. I feel like it's less stilted, even though the first 3 episodes, depending on the scene. So I mentioned in previous reviews that we shoot 3 episodes every 9 days, which means if it's the same location, they'll have us change into whatever outfit we wear in that other episode and then shoot it so they don't have to keep bringing us back to that location every episode. So you don't shoot chronologically when you film. It's, oh, you're in this scene, so if the Ranger base is in 3 episodes, you shoot all the Ranger base stuff for all 3 episodes, basically back to back while you're there. Or if you're in this forest and you come back to that forest in the episodes, you just shoot all of it there. Or like this, where they're going down the slide. So again, this is a different physical location than the actual base they slide into. So if there's anything else filmed here, they try to get it all done in one go with those actors that appear so they don't have to keep coming back and forth to save time.
Get him!
Dino Charger?
Man, I'm having a good hair day in this. This is me jumping, so they wanted to show like a front flip. So he jumped off of a trampoline when I morphed. My double took over the fight for that. That was a cool scene. That was one of our guys who's really good at stunts. He did the roll over his head. Stuff like that is hard. And I'm getting more confident. You can hear it in my voice when I do the call outs, like whatever slash! Like I'm giving more energy to it than before where I was a little more subdued because I wasn't sure. Like when you doubt yourself on screen, other people can tell and hopefully you can tell too, but I just felt like I wasn't, looking back at it, I can tell I wasn't fully in the moment in the first few episodes because I was doubting myself performance-wise, which is a bad thing to do because then you get in your head and then it's a snowball effect. It makes you doubt yourself more and you end up getting worse. It's better just to commit 100%, and if it's not the direction your director wants, that's why they direct you, and they come in and they're like, great energy or whatever. If they're good at directing, they communicate well with you. And then they word it in such a way that you can then take their direction and apply it without feeling bad. Like most directors, not most, but depending on the director, like you have an actor's director who knows how to speak to an actor, then other directors know what they want for the shots and stuff, but they don't know how to communicate that effectively without hurting people's feelings. But it's very person to person, it's very subjective. Siri, I'm not talking to you, oh my gosh. So that was a Sayuchi, a front suicide like I did earlier in the episode. So you saw he fell and caught with his foot and then rolled back. That was with the wire, because that's not physically possible. So that was me actually rolling. They give you pads though under your clothes because it's really easy to scrape yourself up on concrete. So again, charges on the floor usually, and maybe smoke machine. So this reminds me of Revive in like Gears of War, where you can't get up until your friend comes and like touches your back and then you can stand up. That's what just happened.
He's heading off to tell Sledge where it is so they can steal the energems. That's the real plan.
So if you had
See, I'm so much more comfortable with this delivery of lines versus some of the stuff in episode 1. So James and I, for some reason, like ever since this episode, when I said together a lot, like we don't have to be together to work together, and I say together a bunch whenever I talk to him, and it comes up with like, let's go do something together, and he's like, together? And I was like, yeah, together. Actually, I want to talk about this. So again, in the suit, you see we're wearing black to start when we morph, so we had to wear the black spandex, and then I believe we had to wear white spandex. So we added the hot as well. Yes, now we're in white spandex, so we had to redo the whole thing in both, and then we put on the suits as well for this part. And then they put little tissues around the neck piece so you don't get makeup on it until it's time to shoot it, and then they pull the tissues out. But you notice, if you watch some of my other Ranger reviews, I talked about the morph, where we go, energize, unleash the power. This time we added the energize, ha! So episode 3, we added the ha. Before it was just straight from energize to unleash the power. Slight change. I don't know why we added it, but just fun inside knowledge. Yes, you can see through the helmets, but it's hard to breathe in them for a long amount of time. So they tried to get them out every 15 minutes or so to catch their breath before they put them back on. It's one thing to wear one around Comic-Con. It's another to be fighting actively in a helmet like this. So this is wire work as well. You can't magically backflip that far away.
This T-Rex!
I don't know why I developed like the ha-ha. Like if you notice my portrayal of Tyler, I add laughs a lot. And you know, he's supposed to be fun and adventurous and all that. But it just kind of became a thing, and I just did it in a lot of more fight sequences, and I kept doing it. It's like he enjoys the thrill of the fight. See, I love our Megazords because depending on the season, they're more sentient or they're truly just more like robots. Ours, they're straight up sentient. Like they can fight on their own. They don't even need us to control them. So you'll hear differences in our voices when we say lines over and over, like, but you'll notice in my voice, like I start getting more intense with it later on, or at least I've noticed it. Dino Charger, ready! All right, so here we go, more Japanese footage, which is totally cool. Magical digitized island. Man, my Megazord is strong. He just chills in lava. Like that's his resting state, is sitting in a volcano.
Nice entrance, Rexy!
That prehistoric.
I was watching Kyoryuger as we were filming season 1, which is the Super Sentai version of Dino Charge, or the Japanese version. So it was really cool, like watching that and then acting episodes that were similar, like a couple weeks right after. So it was pretty surreal. I know Yoshi had a hard time trying to find like how to like truthfully portray like a caveman cadence of speech while fighting in a Power Ranger fight scene, because he wanted to still sound like Koda, but at the same time he wanted to like speak normally. It was difficult, but he pulled it off really well. So it's like the Dino Chargers are required to like set up mechanically for us to combine, because I don't know why they actually have to like go in and then out and then in and then out, but they do, apparently. See, I used to collect a lot of the toys when they first came out, but I just don't have space for all of them. But I do have our Megazord still in the box because I want to have my Megazord, but I don't know what to do with the other toys. I actually ended up giving away a lot of them, and I felt like they should go to kids, like who will play with them. But at the same time, like how often do you get a toy? So this inside the Megazord, this was shot all original footage. They had Megazord stuff in Japan, but for whatever reason, they wanted to reshoot it. So that's at our studio in one of the base studio locations, and they have different back emblems for different Megazords. So that one's the T-Rex is in charge, so they put the T-Rex behind, but like later on, if we're in the Plesiozord, it's the Plesio symbol or whatever, and then the different things we're standing on when we punch and fight, those platforms, they're on wheels, so we can move them or add more of them depending on how many Power Rangers are in that Megazord.
Unleash the power!
And when we did lines like this, where we all said them together, in ADR, whoever did ADR first, because we had different session times, we'd have to match their cadence. So if I was the one leading it, then the others would match my cadence, or if Camille led it that week, then we would match her cadence of the line delivery. And there you have it, that's episode 3. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please consider joining my Patreon. Your support helps us make more videos like this. Take care, and until next time, it's morphin' time! Or something.